These moments were never supposed to be seen, but the camera kept rolling. From seconds before disaster to the exact moment everything went wrong, these are some of the most terrifying moments ever caught on camera. Hey everybody, quick reminder before we dive into the first story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Also, hit that like button. If we're able to get this video to 2,000 likes, I'm going to do a free merch store giveaway where one person who comments down below will win the drawing, and I will send you some free Cellar merch. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive into the first story. It takes less than a second for everything to change. One small hand slipping away, one step in the wrong place, and a child disappears. In December of 2025, in the city of Karachi, Pakistan, a quiet Sunday night turned into something unthinkable. It was around 11 p.m. Families were out, shops still open, life moving like it always does. Among them, a father and his 3-year-old son. The boy's name was Ibrahim. Ibrahim is 3 years old and was the only child of his parents, residents of the Shah Fasil colony. From all reports, it was a pretty normal evening as the pair stood together just outside a well-known store. Everything felt normal, everything felt safe, but hidden in plain sight was something that shouldn't have been there at all. CCTV footage would later reveal the horrifying moment, a moment ripped straight out of any parent's worst nightmares. Ibrahim, walking beside his father, lets go of his hand. Just for a few brief seconds, Ibrahim runs ahead, and then he vanishes. An open manhole, either completely uncovered or loosely concealed with something as fragile as cardboard, gave way beneath the child's feet. There was no warning, no time to react, just a sudden drop into absolute darkness. Panic erupts instantly as Ibrahim's father runs up to the hole and starts screaming for help. People rush towards the opening, but Ibrahim is just gone. Onlookers gather around and stare down into a space no one should have ever fallen into. They call out his name and begin listening intently, hoping for anything, any sign that the boy is there and alive. But all they're met with is silence. Emergency services are called to the scene, and what follows is a massive rescue effort involving local residents and volunteer organizations like the Edahi Foundation. Minutes soon drag into hours. Each one cuts through the last bit of hope that Ibrahim's father has. Teams search through a network of underground sewer lines. They are dark, narrow, and almost impossible to navigate. With no sign of the boy, they try to trace the flow of water and soon determine where the current could have carried him. But at this point, time has become the enemy. After nearly 15 to 16 hours, the search comes to an unsatisfying end. Ibrahim is found almost half a kilometer away in a sewer line near Sir Syed University. Tragically, he did not survive. The reaction is immediate as fury spreads across the city. Protests soon erupt, voices demand accountability. The Karachi Metropolitan Corporation and government officials face accusations of criminal negligence. Online, social media floods with one message, #Justice for Ibrahim. An official inquiry is ordered. Legal petitions are filed, targeting city leadership, the Karachi Water and Sewage Corporation, and contractors tied to nearby infrastructure projects. But for one family, no investigation, no lawsuit can undo what has already been done. In the aftermath, Ibrahim's father, Nabil, chooses a different path. Instead of waiting for change to happen, he begins creating it himself. Nabil begins covering open manholes with his own hands. One by one, he works every day, trying to make sure no other parent has to experience the agonizing loss like he did. In the end, this wasn't an isolated tragedy. Reports have revealed something even more disturbing, that dozens of people in the very same city have lost their lives in the same manner as Ibrahim. Ultimately, Ibrahim's story is heartbreaking because it was 100% preventable. There was no risk taken, there was no warning ignored. Ibrahim was just a young boy out for a walk with his father, and he had the unfortunate luck to stumble upon a hidden danger in a place people trust every day. And sometimes, that's all it takes before tragedy strikes. There are moments in life where everything comes down to a fraction of a second. A single step forward or a single step back can mean the difference between walking away or never walking again. This is one of those moments. Captured on CCTV in a quiet apartment building in southern Russia, a routine elevator ride turned into something the polar opposite. What happened next was so sudden that it nearly ended a man's life before he even realized what was happening. The incident took place in the city of Krasnodar, a rapidly growing urban center along the Kuban River, home to over 1 million residents. Like countless others before him, the man approached the elevator expecting nothing unusual, just another ordinary moment in an ordinary day. And at first, that's exactly what it was. The footage begins, innocently enough. One man exits the lift without issue. Everything appears normal, functional, safe. But seconds later, another man steps forward to enter. And that's the moment when everything changes. Without warning, the elevator doors begin to close. Caught mid-step, the man instinctively tries to force the doors back open. They open, but the elevator itself doesn't stop. The man and machine begin their upward trajectory. In a split second, the man realizes the horrifying reality. His body is outside, but his head is about to be inside the elevator. The elevator surges upward with brutal force, threatening to decapitate him instantly. There's no time to think, no time to react, only a mere millisecond for pure instinct to kick in. At the very last possible moment, the man lets go, throwing himself backwards just as the elevator shoots past. He escapes by less than a second. Following this, the footage itself ends almost as abruptly as it began. No dramatic music, no warning signs, just a man standing there, realizing how close he came to dying. Elevators are something we trust without question. We step inside, press a button, and assume we'll arrive safely. But sometimes that trust is misplaced, and sometimes survival comes down to a single step back. If you're interested in more horrifying stories involving elevators, click the link at the top of the screen or wait until the end of the video and I will link the video there as well. In the northern part of North Carolina sits a small city with a reputation that far outweighs its size. This is Henderson. Located in Vance County, Henderson is home to roughly 15,000 residents. Once built on agriculture and industry, the city has faced decades of economic decline, shaping much of what it is today. Statistically, Henderson ranks among the most dangerous cities of its size within the United States. Crime rates are significantly higher than both state and national averages, with some estimates placing total crime at over 3 times the US average. Now, here's a scary stat for you. Residents of Henderson face roughly a 1 in 13 chance of becoming a victim of crime. Violent crime, including assault, robbery, and homicide, is a major contributor to the city's ever-declining reputation. Much of this can be traced back to deeper issues, higher poverty levels, and limited economic opportunity, along with proximity to major transportation routes like Interstate 85. All of this can contribute to the increased crime, the formation of gangs, and ruthless drug activity. Which now brings us to June of 2022, just outside the Gate City Foods gas station, located at 601 West Andrews Ave. The CCTV footage outside the gas station captured this horrifying scene playing out in broad daylight. Now, it's not clear what the issue was between these individuals, but police believe it all ties back to rival gangs within Henderson.
And good news, and amazingly, no one was hurt in all of this. However, Henderson's police chief does tell us one of the men involved did have some minor injuries.
Luckily, no one was seriously hurt in the aftermath of this horrifying shootout. What happened in the CCTV footage was over in seconds. Gunfire, chaos in Henderson. This wasn't just another headline, it was a reminder of how quickly violence can surface and how close it can be to everyday life. In a city as small as Henderson, crime doesn't spread out, it concentrates, which means incidents like this feel more frequent, more visible, and more personal to all those who live there. But Henderson is not defined by danger alone. Many neighborhoods remain quiet, and many residents try their best to live normal, uninterrupted lives. Like most cities, risk is often tied to location, time, and circumstance. So stay aware, stay safe, because sometimes the most dangerous moments are the ones you never see coming. By the time the camera starts rolling, this situation is already past the point of no return. Kidnapping, a high-speed chase, and a man who said it would end in death. In the early morning hours of September 24, 2019, police across Raleigh, North Carolina were already in pursuit. The suspect, Hugo Uret Cortez Ramirez, had abducted his former girlfriend at gunpoint hours earlier from her workplace. Now, that situation was reaching its final moments. The chase had already stretched across highways, speeds reaching nearly 100 miles per hour. Multiple agencies involved, units closing in, until finally, near Zebulon, spike strips bring the vehicle to a stop. This is where the footage that the police released to the public begins. The car is disabled, surrounded. For a brief moment, everything pauses. Then suddenly, the driver's door swings open. Cortez Ramirez steps out with a handgun. Officers shout commands, drop the weapon, get on the ground, but instead of complying, he runs, straight towards a wooded area beside the road, still armed, still moving. As he runs, he turns and raises the gun towards the officers. Gunfire soon erupts. Officers return fire, striking him in the leg, but he doesn't stop. He keeps going, disappearing into the trees. It's at this point that the footage loses clear sight of Ramirez as he's swallowed by the woods. Then, a single gunshot echoes from inside the woods, not from police, but from Ramirez. When officers move in, they find Ramirez on the ground, a gun still in his hand. The chase, the shootout, is now over. Official reports would later confirm he was not killed by police. The fatal wound was self-inflicted. The kidnapped ex-girlfriend was found alive and frightened inside Ramirez's now abandoned vehicle. In the end, what makes this footage so unsettling is how inevitable it all feels. Just hours earlier, Ramirez had told his ex-girlfriend that this was how it would end, and in the final moments, he followed through. A chase that spanned miles ended in seconds, not with surrender, not with arrest, but with a decision made long before the cameras were rolling. All of this leaving Ramirez's girlfriend and the public at large forever grateful to the officers who put their lives on the line that day. Now, this next video doesn't have much of a story to go along with it. I just found it to be an unbelievable example of Mother Nature's sheer force and power. From the dash cam of a car sitting in a parking lot in Lincoln, Nebraska. A wall of wind, debris ripping through the air, and in seconds, everything begins to break apart. Buildings bend, glass shatters, cars are tossed like they weigh nothing. From behind the windshield, the camera rolls, showing the jaw-dropping power of a tornado as it tears apart the landscape like it's nothing more than tissue paper. There's no way to stop it, just raw, unforgiving force, moving straight through everything in its path. Against nature, you can't negotiate, and there are no victories, only moments of survival. Mankind may build the world that we live in, but nature? Well, nature decides how long it gets to stand. For a few seconds, no one in the arena understood what they were seeing. Then, the ice turned red. March 22nd, 1989, a routine NHL game between the Buffalo Sabres and the St. Louis Blues. Nothing unusual, just another night of hockey. But what unfolded next would become one of the most horrifying moments ever captured in sports. In net for Buffalo that night was Clint Malarchuk, a veteran goaltender, locked in, focused, watching the play develop in front of him. Two players battle for position in the crease, contact is made, and in an instant, everything goes wrong. An ice skate lifts into the air and slices across Malarchuk's neck. At first, it doesn't register, but then, blood begins pouring onto the ice, not slowly, not gradually, but in pulses with every heartbeat. The arena erupts into confusion, players look on in shock, some turn away immediately, fans begin to panic, some faint, others can't look at all. The broadcast cameras eventually cut away, but inside the arena, there's no escaping what just happened. Malarchuk knows instantly this isn't just a normal injury. He later said he thought he was going to die. And in that moment, his focus shifts to one thing: getting off the ice. Malarchuk knew his mother was watching that night, and he didn't want her to have to watch her son die out on the ice. As everything is happening, the Sabres trainer, a former combat medic, rushes onto the ice. He drops beside Malarchuk and clamps his hand over the wound, pinching the artery closed. He manages to slow the bleeding, just enough to keep Clint alive. Malarchuk is quickly rushed off the ice. A trail of blood is left behind him, all the more noticeable against the backdrop of the pearly white ice. Inside the arena, people are still trying to process what they just witnessed, because they all know, without immediate help, he wouldn't have survived. Clint would make it to the hospital, where doctors swiftly got to work. Doctors later confirmed his carotid artery had been severed and his jugular vein had been cut. One of the main vessels supplying blood to the brain had been opened up, and the blood loss was massive, requiring hundreds of stitches. And yet, against all odds, Clint Malarchuk survived. And what's even crazier is he returned to the ice just 10 days after the catastrophic injury. But survival doesn't always mean the story is over, because long after the blood was cleaned from the ice, the moment stayed with him. For years, Clint Malarchuk battled mental health issues. Hockey players are supposed to be tough guys that play through anything. The culture didn't allow these men to show weakness. And Clint's story is an unbelievable one, And if you'd like me to dive into his entire life story in more detail, leave a comment down below and let me know. In the end, what makes this footage so unforgettable is how fast it happened. 1 second is routine, the next, a life is hanging by a thread on live TV, and a reminder that even in the most controlled environments, anything can change in an instant. At the end of it all, Clint Malarchuk's injury would go down as one of the most terrifying moments ever captured on live television. Did you all enjoy today's video? Which terrifying moment caught on camera was your favorite? Please let me know in the comment section below. Also, if you have any story recommendations, please send one to me via email at TheCellarTrueCrime@gmail.com. With that said, if you enjoyed today's video, why not stick around and check out another? A list of videos will soon pop up on the screen, and I'd love if you continued watching. With all that out of the way, I hope to see you all next time when we venture back into the cellar.